Because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women.
And you said, I may have a desire to sleep with many women, but I do not.
I agree with me.
That's what you do in your show, because it sucks.
Malcolm, Malcolm, I appreciate that, but I will comfort myself tonight by sleeping on my bed made of money.
Ben Shapiro doesn't debate to be polite. He debates to either win or make his opponent rage quit due to frustration.
The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had. Pleasure to meet you.
With his unfiltered style, he tackles the hottest issues, challenging everyone in the room and leaving no argument untouched. Shapiro's upcoming discussion pushes the boundaries on whether free speech can cross certain lines.
What in the history of America that legislates a man's body, so why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
In this debate, he took on a transgender activist in a high stakes who felt that his community, as well as he himself, was attacked by Shapiro's free speech on some topics.
Because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women. Because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population.
He came face to face with a transgender activist who didn't hold back, firing questions on everything from gender identity to white supremacy and abortion rights.
Do men experience SA? Sexual assault?
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
Right from the start, the activist put Shapiro on the spot, asking, can men get pregnant? Shapiro, without missing a beat, replied, men cannot get pregnant.
First question, can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay, awesome. So,
Definitionally.
Okay.
But the activist wasn't stopping there. He challenged Shapiro on whether he benefits from white supremacy, adding his own experiences as a transgender man impacted by social and legal barriers.
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
Shapiro, unfazed, answered, I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white supremacy.
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white supremacy.
Here, let me give it to you then.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly.
The activist pressed on. Shapiro stayed calm all along the rant of the activist and then firmly replied, I recognize that you exist. I disagree with the claim that you are male.
I
recognize that you exist. I disagree with your claim that you are a male.
The activist kept arguing that his freedoms are restricted by laws like abortion bans. Shapiro, staying cool under pressure, pointed out that the activist's wildly shifting terms and topics, saying, you're really moving around terminology very wildly here.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly.
That is when the activist claimed that's exactly what Shapiro does, and now he's thrown it back at his face because Shapiro's fast-paced, fact-heavy style dismisses the struggles of communities like his.
And so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game. And you've done it the entire time. You've jumped from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work, so how does it feel to have it in your face?
The activist quickly switched the subject of talking about Trump having accused of rape, and Shapiro still supporting him is insane, as he might have a daughter as well, leaving no room for Ben to talk during most of the rant of his.
Well, this guy's been accused of rape. Trump. In, court documents, and you're backing the guy. You have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? What is wrong with you, dude?
With tension thick in the room, neither side backed down, leaving the audience to feel the weight of this heated clash over identity and beliefs. But just as that debate over individual identity and rights reached a boiling point, the conversation shifted gears in Shapiro's next encounter, moving from social issues to the structural pillars of America itself, as he took on a conservative plan to reshape the nation's core institutions. In another tense exchange, Shapiro was asked about Project 2025, a conservative plan focused on reducing bureaucracy and reshaping policy.
A couple weeks, talked a lot about and Googled Project 2025. It's one of the most Googled search terms right now.
His opponent, a congressman, opened by asking Shapiro how much he supported Project 2025.
I just wanted to know, from your perspective, I think it would help us understand on just like a scale of 0 to 100%, how much do you support Project 2025?
And Shapiro admitted he hadn't examined every detail, but supported reducing bureaucracy and increasing efficiency.
I haven't looked all that deeply at Project 2025.
You probably want less bureaucracy, right?
I do.
I want less bureaucracy. You want more efficiency.
I do.
The discussion moved to Project 2025's stance on mass deportations, with Shapiro stating he supports deporting illegal immigrants who either drain taxpayer resources or have a criminal record.
I support the deportation of any illegal immigrant who's in the United States who is not of benefit to the generalized American public.
When the conversation turned to bans on the abortion pill and same-sex marriage, Shapiro explained that while he's personally pro-life and favors traditional marriage, he believes these should be decided at the state level.
How about banning the abortion pill? That's part of Project 2025. Do you support that part?
I think that that's a state-by-state issue on a personal level. Sure, I'm a fully pro-life person, which means that I'm not in favor of the distribution of the abortion pill.
Banning same-sex marriage, what about that part?
I am in favor of traditional marriage between a man and a woman, and I'm perfectly fine with anyone having any sort of voluntary sexual arrangement they seek. That's a different thing from whether the government should attach benefits to that personal relationship.
His opponent pressed further, questioning Shapiro's religious stance on same-sex relationships. Shapiro replied, "From a religious Jewish perspective, orientation isn't a sin, but activity is."
But you think it's a sin to have same-sex marriage?
I mean, I'm confused. Are you asking me as a religious Jew what I think about biblically?
I'm just asking, is it a sin to be gay? But again, just you to me, is it a sin or not?
From a religious Jewish perspective, orientation is not a sin, but activity is. That's also the same perspective of most major religions, so far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Explaining that his limited government view is based on policy, not religion. The tension around the intersection of faith and governance kept the audience on edge. His opponent even read out Shapiro's words from Slate magazine, in which he'd mentioned about his surprising desire, about the side we never knew Ben Shapiro could talk about in public.
And you said, I may have a desire to sleep with many women, but I do not.
I agree with me. Yes, that's true.
Congratulations on your,
Shapiro's debate on personal conviction versus policy hit an even deeper nerve on Real Time with Bill Maher, where he took on the growing controversy around critical race theory. In a high-stakes exchange, Shapiro tackled critical race theory, CRT, alongside Malcolm Nance. As CRT continues to divide opinions, Shapiro didn't hold back, explaining that CRT teaches racism is embedded in American systems and implies that disparities, like differences in test scores, prove racial bias.
Less than what critical race theory actually is, but critical race theory essentially argues that racism is baked into all the systems of American society and that any sort of neutral system is in fact a guise for racial power.
When Maher asked for clarification, Shapiro stressed that CRT isn't just about history, but about reframing systems, like capitalism and meritocracy, as structures of racial oppression.
Attempt to end segregation in public schools. Even things that are purportedly good in terms of race, so long as they uphold these broader systems, things like capitalism or things like the meritocracy, these things are actually just guises for power.
Nance countered, saying CRT highlights ongoing injustices, while Shapiro fired back, stating that using CRT to assign privilege or collective guilt based on race goes beyond history. When Nance accused Shapiro of oversimplifying, Shapiro cut in, calling it a cheap trick, on which Nance said that if this is what Shapiro does on his show, then it sucks. But Shapiro didn't let him roast without feeling the taste of a comeback.
You are literally
That's
defending
not-
critical race theory by redefining it as just teaching history, which is a cheap semantic trick, and you know it.
Is this what you do on your show? Because it sucks.
You know, Malcolm. Malcolm, I appreciate that, but
I'm sure
I
we
will,
have an-
I will comfort myself
I'm sure
tonight
we
by
have a-
sleeping on my bed made of money.
I'm sure we have an adult.
Oh.
I'm sure we have another adult subject to talk
that-
about.
But both remained locked in their beliefs, and the audience was left pondering how CRT fits into the educational landscape. With every debate, Ben Shapiro brings the heat, taking on some of today's most charged issues with his signature no-nonsense style. From defending institutions to questioning ideologies, Shapiro doesn't just argue, he confronts, leaving each debate open to fierce scrutiny. In a world that's growing more polarized, Shapiro's approach is sparking conversations that are anything but simple. Whether you're cheering him on or questioning his methods, one thing is clear: Ben Shapiro is here to stay.